Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new here. My name is Allie and welcome to the top comment, where I read and react to insane internet chaos in the form of Reddit stories. So if you like this type of content, please don't forget to subscribe. It is totally free and it means a whole lot to me. On today's episode, we are going to be reading about people who had the audacity. These people are just as unhinged as the paranormal activity from Tuesday's episode. So if you haven't checked that one out yet and you're into glitches in the Matrix and paranormal, totally go check it out. It will be linked at the end of this video. All right, let's get into it. All right, story number 1 is coming from Petty Revenge, and it reads, "Throw your purse on my feet so you can have more room for your oversized carry-on. Good luck finding it. I am someone who struggles with being overly kind and accommodating, especially on planes. I'm a small person, and people usually assume that means they can encroach on my space on planes instead of just upgrading themselves to a more accommodating seat. Finally, I was fed up, and I no longer wanted to sacrifice my sustainability and comfort for selfish, undeserving humans. Yeah, don't be a people pleaser. I have the window seat, and someone who has boarded quite late comes in pushing her oversized carry-on, winter coat, purse, and her shaggy blanket onto me. She didn't push her carry-on under the seat because it couldn't fit. She throws the shaggy blanket onto my seat while I'm sitting there. She places her purse directly on my feet, places her headphones on, and closes her eyes as if I'm invisible. I move the blanket and purse back to her side. Flight attendant comes around and tells her about her luggage. She ignores them. They assume she can't hear them. She continues to ignore them. They tap her shoulder. She continues to ignore them. They shake her shoulder, and finally she follows their instructions. I hate it when people act up on planes. It is one of my biggest pet peeves. I hate it. It drives me nuts. I've had some nasty plane experiences too. Before you know it, her coat, blanket, and purse are on my side again, all over me. She's fast asleep, elbows flung, and having sweet dreams. I do my best to move her things. Now her mouth is open and she has terrible nighttime breath. Ew! I hate that. It's ugh. We're about to land. She's wide awake now and completely on her phone. Puts her gross blanket back on me so she has more room. Finally, I get assertive. She then yanks her blanket as if I'm in the wrong for not wanting her things all over me and giving my space when I tried to pass them back to her. Plan lanes, she gets up aggressively and charges off the plane with a foul attitude. Except she forgot to grab her purse. Normally, I would have said, "Oh, hey, looks like you forgot something," but it's not my job to help nasty, entitled individuals. The flight attendants will surely catch up with her before she leaves the gate. Nope. I see her walk through the food court and through ground transportation doors. I wonder how far she'll get without her purse. How do you just leave your purse behind? She sounds like she is so stuck in her own head, in her own ways, and just has no care for anybody else in the entire world. Where do you find the audacity to treat people like this? This is absolutely outrageous. Next time, honey, you're never gonna see her again, and it does not matter what she thinks of you. If she is encroaching on your space and clearly being a nasty human, be assertive sooner. This should be a life lesson for you, is to not be a people pleaser. I've been a people pleaser before. Not anymore, thanks to therapy. Honestly, for her to leave her purse behind is probably the nicest thing that she did the entire flight. I wonder if maybe her purse held some of her common sense. Probably not. She just sounds like a piece of All right, let's see what some of these comments say. The top comment says, "This was a lovely story. Hope the purse gets confiscated and destroyed by airport personnel. Thank you for your cooperation." There you go, exactly. Don't touch a stranger's belongings. You never know if they're going to come back and try to sue you. You were best to just leave it alone if you weren't going to say anything originally, which I still think you should have. I am one of the least confrontational people ever, and I still would have said something to her. I would have gotten snippy a lot sooner. Traveling is already enough of a nightmare without horrible people ruining it for you like this lady did. The next comment says, "Purse on my foot? I know you want me to use it as a footrest, which it will get shoved far under the seat behind me when I am done using it." There you go. Exactly. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. This next comment says, "Oops, I spilled my drink and my pretzels all into your purse and all over your blanket. Thank goodness it was there where it shouldn't have been, or else it would have gotten all over me and my stuff." That's so funny. Y'all are petty. I'm here for it. All right. The The last comment says, alcoholic drinks like red wine are so expensive on planes, but sometimes you just have to treat yourself. I completely agree. I wish you would have gotten better revenge on her, but I suppose her leaving her purse and then already going through ground transportation, if she already went through those doors, she has to go through security to get back through. Like, there's no getting around it. She can't just call and say, bring me my purse out to the front. The world doesn't work like that, sugar bear. All right, you guys, moving along to story number 2. This one comes from AITAH, and it says, am I the a-hole for telling off a friend when she charged us for dinner? I recently hung out with a group of friends, and one of them is a rather boastful influencer. Oh God. She would talk about her wealth, trips, cars, boyfriends, PR packages, etc. non-stop. Usually the rest of us would listen and not really take offense because she was just rattling about herself. Recently, this friend snagged an extremely rich boyfriend, and she proceeded to move into his multi-million-dollar mansion with him. She was so excited and posted a picture of the pool, jacuzzi, etc. She invited us all to her new house and specifically said, I want to invite you all for dinner at my new house with my boyfriend. The rest of us accepted the invitation and came to the house. All of the wealth she told us about really existed, and her boyfriend was super nice. He didn't stay throughout the dinner as he had paperwork to finish up in his room. Soon it was dinner time. We were all hungry as it was quite a long drive to the mansion, and suddenly my friend took out her phone and says, okay, I'll be ordering food and drinks from a nearby mart. Tell me what you want and I'll get it delivered here. I thought it was strange that she was ordering food instead of having food already prepared for us guests by the numerous maids there. No drinks were served and we had to order them as well. The food came, it was cold, and I just ate and didn't think much of it. The rest of the night was pretty much normal. After we left, the friend proceeded to send us a text of the detailed breakdown of the cost and the a la carte dish and drinks that we each ordered with a firm reminder to quickly transfer her the money. The first thing that came to mind was annoyance. She gave us the impression that she would serve us dinner at her boyfriend's multi-million-dollar mansion, but ended up with each of us paying for our own dinner. What sort of hostess was she? I felt that her invitation was extremely misleading. I wasn't expecting a 10-course dinner, but social convention would imply that at least some simple food and water would be served to the guests, and guests would not be charged. We transferred her the money, and I sarcastically texted the group chat saying, oh wow, if I knew we were all paying for our own individual meals, we could have met at a restaurant for dinner. I guess all that wealth in the house was just for show. Then I left the group chat. Since that incident, I have not hung out around her. Am I the a-hole? No, but I don't love that you paid her. Why did you pay her? She clearly invited you to dinner, and if you weren't going to be friends with her anyways, you should have just kept your money, girl. You don't pay if somebody invites you to their house for dinner. You literally paid for lukewarm pad thai and terrible company. So no, you're not the a-hole, but get better, friends. You should have just blocked her and never paid her. Clearly she doesn't need it. All right, babe, you're not the a-hole, but let's see what the comments say. The top comment says, not the a-hole. When you are invited for dinner at someone's house, it is assumed you will be served dinner. If the host is ordering out, they should inform you prior that you have to pay for your order. Yeah, exactly. She's under no obligation to cook for you. I mean, I've definitely invited friends over and then we've just ended up door dashing or getting Uber Eats, but I'm not gonna sit there and invite you over to my house for dinner with 10 plus people, rack up a huge bill on whatever delivery this was, and then sit there and make you guys pay. That's just cheap. That does not look good. I'm sorry. That really looks bad for whoever this crazy lady is. The next comment says, I would pay and never talk to her again. Small cost for knowing who she really is. I would advise my friends to do the same. I only say I would pay so that she has zero reason to ever talk to me again. No, you owe me money text, just a clean break. Good luck with your new sad life. I mean, that's fair. However, I would not have paid. I would have just probably sent her the middle finger emoji, blocked her, and never spoken to her again. But I mean, she does kind of sound like the person that might get pressed over $50 from you. So who knows? And the fact that she selfishly sits there and talks about herself too. She sounds gross and you sound better off without her. Honestly, she sounds like an energy soul-sucking leech. Imagine billing your friends over Venmo and then sitting there a year later and saying, why don't I have any friends? Where did all my friends go? I can just see her saying it exactly like that. All right. The last comment says, honestly, if I wanted to pay for my own meal, I'd might just invite myself to my own kitchen, not the a-hole all the way. Agreed, babe. You're not the a-hole. I mean, do you, I guess. I don't know. You know, maybe if she is a rich influencer, maybe she's got money and lawyers, and you probably don't want to deal with that. So you're probably making the right move by paying her back. I guess I'm just petty and I don't like seeing bad people get away with shady, sus things. All right, moving on. Story number 3 is also from AITAH. So we are going to be judging again. This one says, am I the a-hole for finally losing it on my mother-in-law after her criticizing how we raise our kids? I'm already going to say no unless you're about to come up in here and say that you are a terrible parent. I'm just going to go ahead and say no, but let's find out. All right. I, a 32-year-old woman, have been married to my husband, a 34-year-old man, for 8 years, and we have 2 kids together, a 6-year-old son and a 3-year-old daughter. Ever since our firstborn, my mother-in-law, a 60-year-old woman, has had something to say about everything we do as parents and not in a helpful, constructive way. We try to be gentle parents. We talk to our kids, help them understand their emotions, and don't believe in yelling or punishments just to assert authority or whatever. Mother-in-law hates this. She constantly says we're raising soft kids and that a good smack never did anyone any harm. Okay, sure. I love gentle parenting, and I think that parents should talk to their kids about emotions and mental health because those are very important things to learn early on. I didn't know that I had anxiety until way after college, and I have suffered from it since about the 5th grade. My chest would always be insanely tight. I could never breathe. I always just had this terrible, awful, just doomsday feeling in my body. And if you have anxiety or generalized anxiety disorder or anything, then you probably already know what I'm talking about. I did not get diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder until a year after I was out of college. So I think it's very important for us to now talk to our kids about mental health, especially the more that we learn about our mental health, the more that we learn about our brains. It is very important. It's part of your body. It's a huge part of your body. It's a huge part of what makes you who you are. And I think there's nothing wrong with learning that from a young age. So I am going to stick to my original verdict of you're not the a-hole, but let's keep reading. One of her biggest issues is that we don't make our kids hug or kiss relatives if they don't want to. We've always told them that their bodies are theirs and they can say no if they're uncomfortable. Mother-in-law thinks that this is teaching them to be rude. Absolutely not. This is not teaching your kids to be rude. This is teaching your kids to have healthy boundaries. If you start teaching them about boundaries from a young age, they're going to grow up into wonderful adults that know how to say no to people and not be people pleasers. Like OP from the first story. She was definitely a people pleaser, and you want your kids to grow up and feel very strong and confident in who they are. If you teach your kids from a young age that their bodies are their own, they're not going to get taken advantage of. They're going to know when something is off. And if they don't feel like giving a hug, that's fine. I'm not a very huggy feely person either. And sometimes I'm just not in the mood either. So I completely understand that. Anyways, last weekend we went to a family gathering, and when we arrived, my son didn't want to hug her. He just smiled and said hi instead. Mother-in-law immediately went off about how disrespectful it was and how this is why kids today have no manners. I calmly told her we let them decide when they're comfortable with physical affection. She rolled her eyes and mumbled, ridiculous. When I was raising kids, they weren't allowed to be like this. Well, I'm sure, Susan. I have no doubt. And I'm sure your kids also grew up afraid of you. I let it go at first, but later I overheard her talking to my husband in the kitchen. She was telling him that I was the problem and that he needed to man up and stop me from ruining our kids. The audacity! I don't know what snapped in me, but I walked in and I just let her have it. Yes. Good for you. I told her I was done with her constant criticism and that we are raising our kids how we see fit, and if she couldn't respect that, then maybe she didn't need to be involved in their lives at all. She immediately started crying and saying I was excluding her and being cruel, but my husband backed me up and told her that she needs to respect our boundaries. I don't know. Maybe I could have handled it better. So am I the a-hole? No! Your mother-in-law sucks. She literally is giving Wicked Witch of the West vibes, bro. You sound sound like a wonderful mother. You sound very well-rounded. You sound like you have a great head on your shoulders. Your kids are so lucky to have a parent like you. You know, obviously things were different in different generations, and that's okay. It's called learning and growing. Isn't that so magical how we learn things over time and then we become better? People like your mother-in-law are people that are just inherently stuck in the past. You don't need to smack kids. You don't need to hit anybody ever. I don't like your mother-in-law one bit. Your kids are very lucky to have you. They are going to grow up very successful. They're going to grow up very emotionally intelligent. And we need more emotional intelligence in the world now that we are finally in a point as a society where we can talk about mental health and we can talk about boundaries and we can start these things from a young age without it being taboo. And I think that's wonderful. You are not the a-hole. You keep doing exactly what you're doing. I'm so proud of you. You are raising wonderful children. And you're not the a-hole in any way, shape, or form here. Maybe you should be assertive and you should kick her out of your home and say, this is what it's going to be like if you can't stop criticizing my parenting decisions. She is not their mother. You are. All right, y'all, let's see what some of these comments say. Reddit voted her not the a-hole, obviously. All right, so the top comment says, not the a-hole. Your kids, your rules. Your mother-in-law sounds like a real bitch. I would have to agree. The next comment says, if I had to choose one parenting hill to die on, it would be not forcing your kids to accept unwanted physical contact. 100%. This is so important for their own autonomy, but hopefully so that they will respect that in others. Exactly. It's not only teaching them to be good for themselves, but it is also teaching them how to teach others and how to go out into this world and be a better person so that people that follow them can be better people as well. The next comment says, why haven't you given her a good smack already? After all, according to her, it wouldn't do any harm. Just kidding. But I bet the palms of your hands itch sometimes. I mean, I don't want to condone violence here on this channel, but if you ever need to borrow my sparkly gavel, you let me know, girlfriend. Like, I'm sorry, ma'am. I didn't realize that respecting boundaries was so controversial. Can you explain why that is? Can you explain why you should force a child to hug somebody that they don't want to hug, even if it is a relative? It's not rude. It's the child choosing for themselves. That's one of the earliest choices that they can make in life, is who they have physical contact with. All right, the next comment says, you are absolutely not the a-hole. When kids are raised to think that an adult can touch them whenever they want or the child is deemed rude, it teaches the child that they have no bodily autonomy and puts them in a position to be potentially abused. It also teaches children not to trust their gut when an adult is not actually safe. Just because someone is family doesn't mean that they're not potentially toxic. I agree. You never know who's lurking beneath the shadows. All we know are 100% of ourselves, and that's it. We don't know 100% of our neighbors, of our friends, of our family. And unfortunately, some people are really good at hiding who they truly are. Not saying that that's the case here, but I am just saying in general, you should not be forcing your kids to have unwanted physical contact with anybody ever, especially in today's day and age when there are so many predators out there and so many creepy people just waiting and lurking. I mean, kids have such good intuition. They can tell if somebody is not safe by the way that they feel. And if you're forcing them to go through with physical contact with somebody that they might just not feel safe around. Alrighty, the last comment says, not the a-hole. Setting boundaries for your kids and standing up for them isn't cruel. It's good parenting. Your mother-in-law had her turn raising her kids her way. Now it's your turn to do what's best for your family. If she can't respect that, then she's the one creating distance, not you. Good on your husband for backing you up. I agree. I forgot about your husband standing up for you. I think that's amazing. She's very unhinged too for her reactions here. And I completely understand why your kid didn't want to hug her, because she obviously gives off a very hostile vibe. And if she's giving off energy of a smack or two never hurt a kid, yes, it did. There are studies that show that spanking your kids and abusing your kids, it causes problems for them later in life. And I think that we just have to be really gentle with our kids. If we want to raise the next generation right, it starts with us. It starts with people who have kids that are raising them. If they're going to raise them the same way that everybody else has always been raised, we are not going to get anywhere as a society. Everybody is just going to be so messed up. Everybody's going to have trauma, and things are going to continue on the way that they already are right now. And we don't want that. We want to see better for our future. We want to see kids that can stand up for themselves as adults. We want to see kindness passed down. We want to see assertive boundaries passed down. Those are all really important things to have. Look who just decided to join me. He's so mad. He just came up here and sat with me, and I wanted you guys to see him. I picked him up and he started growling. No, honey, you're not the a-hole. She just sounds awful. I'm so sorry that you guys have to deal with her. Good for you for standing your ground, and I hope you continue to do that throughout your kids' lives. They are very lucky to have you. All right, y'all. Last story for today. This one is titled Bottled Water. About 15 years ago, I worked at an insurance company. The building we leased had awful tap water, so the company had those big water jugs delivered. One of the new hires, Carla, didn't like all of the jugs full/empty filling up on one wall of the break room. Carla is one of those people who complained about literally everything. The office was either too hot or too cold. The work was unfairly distributed, and so forth and so on. So she complained and dropped the number of bottles being delivered every 2 weeks down considerably. So myself and several other staff members started drinking as much water as possible each day. After 1 week, all of the jugs were empty, and with no delivery for another week, all that was left was empty jugs. Boss comes in one day for a fill up, no water. He asks where all the full jugs are, and I say to him that Carla doesn't like having a stack of water jugs and wants less delivered. Carla never complained again. Carla sure has some audacity. I'm a fridge water person. I will not drink tap water. You will not catch me drinking tap water ever under any circumstance. So this really irritates me. What are you supposed to do during the day if there's no water and the tap water is nasty? If the tap water is gross, don't drink it. If it's funky or it smells weird or it's weird colored, do not put that in your body. Like, that's just dangerous at that point. Carla, she sounds annoying. I think maybe we've probably all had a coworker like that. Comment below. Have you ever had a coworker that is just absolutely unhinged? I definitely have. All right. The top comment on this one says, sounds like my ex. And someone replies to that comment and goes, the water jug or Carla? And then the original commenter comes back and says, always in the way and completely empty inside. That doesn't really narrow it down much. The last comment says, Carla sounds like the type of person to ask why there's a pancake in the silverware drawer when you should be asking why there's silverware in the pancake drawer. Yeah, she sounds like a complete drag. I mean, the audacity that she had to even sit there and mess with everybody else's water supply. That's just weird. That's just weird audacity. I don't like her. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Tell me below who had the biggest audacity of all these people. For me, I kind of think it was Carla. I'm very bothered by her stealing the water like that and not ordering more for an entire office. That really rubs me the wrong way. I'm a huge water drinker and I just don't like her. Carla. Maybe I'll start using that as a name here for somebody that just sounds absolutely awful. Carla. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for joining me today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. All those things are totally free and they mean so much to me. All right. I will see y'all on Sunday for the mashup episode. And remember, on Sunday's episode, there are bonus stories at the end. So if you have watched Tuesdays and Thursdays and you don't want to rewatch it on Sunday, I completely understand. I probably wouldn't either. Skip to the very bottom using the timestamps and you will find some really good bonus stories this week. I'm very excited. I will see you there. Bye.